I'm Steve Ward, I'm Estates Project Manager for Derbyshire Community Health Service Estates Department. Obviously Babington Hospital is a very historic and iconic building, but for modern day healthcare it's not really fit for purpose anymore. Building wise, very old building with a listing. It's a grade 2 listing in parts, very difficult to maintain. It needs massive investment on the infrastructure. And we've also got a major asbestos problem, which is contained and fully managed, and there's no problems with safety to people. It's purely contained in the basement. As regarding airborne asbestos, we do red light air tests, and we're well within the limits, and we've tested in the basements, and we just, for peace of mind, in the past we've tested on the walls, and we've had no issues with airborne asbestos whatsoever. The problem we've got, if there is a breakdown, because all the pipe work and the electrical services run through the basement, if they were to fail, we couldn't just go in and repair them. It's going to have to be a fully controlled repair, which we think is estimated, if it's a small problem, it could take us up to 5 to 6 weeks. If it was a major problem, it could be 2 months, where we probably could be without services, i.e. water, electric, gas, which would obviously have a massive effect and won't be able to run the services from site. And that's purely down, we'd have to use specialist contractors and go through the health and safety executive to set up the work. It's never going to be a normal repair. If it's a major repair, it could cost a few thousands. If it's extensive, to completely remove it, it is a major job that would cost millions and would mean the closure of the site while we did it, which could be months and months really. We've had flood risk assessments done for the site up to 200 years, and we have got a major issue, so that would sort of make redeveloping the site a serious problem, not cost effective probably. We've had several floods in the basement where we've been 5 or 6 foot up depth of water in the basement. We've got flood risk defences what don't always work, so that's another risk. And the 200-year flood risk assessment, it's probably the reception would be underwater. We've never had to shut it, never had to abandon site, but it's come close a couple of times, and we've had to have the fire brigade in to rescue us, pump us out, and so it is an issue. It's just the natural side. We've got major issues as well with the electrical and heating pipeworks and cold water. Again, it's an age issue. It's not up to current standards, so it really does need a major refurbishment. Again, it needs serious investment. Oh, the windows at Babington, again on the listed building, not the wards. We have very tight control. We cannot replace them. They are just single glazed metal frame windows, so we basically can't make them comply with current building regulations. They're very drafting, and they just, again, they look beautiful, but very cold in winter. Along with that, we've got major other issues. Obviously, the building's really ready for a refurbishment. It needs significant investment. With it being a listed building, it's going to make those costs astronomical. The lift, well, the lift what's, again, 30-year-old, very problematic, and unfortunately, because of the access, once the lift's out of action, it does cause big issues to get patients up to, especially up to now, which is the physiotherapy area. That is a big issue. In fact, we moved one of the reasons we moved the ward down from the first floor, because when the lift was broke down, it was not safe. It really was a problem for access. Most hospital buildings now, you should have, when you access on multi-story, you should have a second lift, 2 lifts to comply. We've got a lot of empty space because 2 things: to utilise the existing heating system and power, we've centralised a lot of space, and a lot of it is not fit for purpose. And we wouldn't move anybody in for a simple reason. With the listing, we'd have to spend, and building regs, we'd have to spend so much money on it to bring it up to standards for current office use. Well, basically, most of the site, which is not used, was admin space. There is clinical space, obviously quite extensive, but most of the site, the front block, and as either ancillary or office space, which a lot of we're not using at the moment because it's just not fit for purpose. Well, Belper Clinic is standalone, but is connected to the site through services, and it cannot be separated. We've been told we can't keep Belper Clinic and not keep the rest of the site. They're intertwined really as a site. With the building itself, especially the listed buildings, we have major access issues. It's for DDA compliance, Disability Discrimination Act. It really does need some work on there, and to some extent it's not fit for purpose because you just couldn't make the changes, especially with the listing on the building. That would make it phenomenal work and probably wouldn't be able to do most of it. The wards, again, the wards are fit for purpose, but they are ready for, to refurb to bring them up to current standards for access and accessibility. And the same with vehicular access to the site. It's not great, it's not the best in the world, but very limited what you can do with it. Obviously, Babington Hospital is a very historic and iconic building, but for modern day healthcare, it's not really fit for purpose anymore.